All right, so we got to see some Eric Stokes. The Eric Stokes of it all with the Green Bay Packers is a very interesting thing. A lot of people for wanted the Packers to go wide receiver. To me, I have no issue with them going corner. In fact, I think it's probably the right move. I think a bigger issue for that team is, the reason they lost that NFC Championship game was because they only had one good corner, really. I mean, obviously, Jair Alexander is elite, and he had 2 picks in that game, but it still wasn't enough when you're going up against a number of good wide receivers. And so they needed some help in the coverage unit. And getting Eric Stokes, I thought, was great because I was a big fan of Eric Stokes out of college. And, we'll get into why in a second, but week 1, I was a little bit concerned because I'm like, wait a second, this guy's only getting 8 snaps when Kevin King is out there getting burned every play. What in the world is going on? How can this guy not get legit playing time? Well, he got some good playing time in the Lions game, and to me, he's clearly won the cornerback 2 job. I'm not sure if he's been given it, but he's clearly won it. He's clearly outperformed King already. 3 pass defense. He has a passer rating of under 80 against 79.2, and that's including giving up a touchdown, which is kind of weird and kind of one of those interesting stats. So as a whole, I've definitely been very impressed with Eric Stokes. And let's talk about the good and the bad, because it wasn't all perfect, but it was pretty close to perfect, actually. So let's get into it. Also, actually, one last thing. I want to preface this by saying this is a small sample size, and it works both ways, right? Whenever a player that we like, has a bad game, we're always going to say, small sample size, it's 1 game. And whenever a player that we don't like has a great game, we're going to say, small sample size, it's 1 game. We have to be consistent, and we have to say, yes, even though I'm a big fan of Eric Stokes, it is just 1 game, and there could be problems that arise that we haven't seen yet due to the small sample size. But let's review what we've seen in a small sample size. All right, so we'll start off with this play. So what's going to happen here, this is that touchdown that he gave up, this was just a miscommunication, and it was on Stokes, I'm like 99% sure, because basically what's going to happen is that everyone's going to play zone here except for Eric Stokes, who's going to play man. That's what's going to happen. It's a blown coverage, I think. Not even a miscommunication. He thought this was 1 coverage when it wasn't. Because watch how far he runs in, covering number 14 for Detroit there, realizes too late, oh, I got out of my zone, I was in the wrong coverage, gives up a touchdown. The biggest rookie mistake, though, is just so you know, Eric Stokes, when this happens again, if you're watching this video, got to put your arms way higher. You got to be, make it clear that it was a miscommunication. Don't let the audience think that you just suck. I remember Xavier Rhodes is the king of that stuff. Whenever there's a miscommunication, he makes it clear that it was not just him getting burned, it was a miscommunication. But in seriousness, that was obviously not a great play, but part of it comes down to probably getting a lot of second-team reps. Just hasn't, fully learned the playbook yet, which is a bit concerning. You want to see him not make these mistakes, but it's also not the end of the world. Rookies do make mistakes. And then there was this play, which was awesome. So this is a 4th down and 1 right here. So obviously a crucial play in this game. It's man coverage, a one-on-one matchup right here. And listen, it's probably worth mentioning that for Detroit, it's not like they have a ton of superstars on the outside. This is Quintez Cephas, who's probably been their best guy, though. So he's been a solid player. So this isn't like a cupcake matchup either, and watch what happens. So Cephas is going to get off the line pretty cleanly. Stokes doesn't do a lot of contact at the line. He doesn't have to. That's not his game, and I think it's good. Know what you are, do what you do well. At this point, for Cephas, he's, if he's got speed, right? Let's say Cephas is faster than Stokes. Stokes would be in trouble. He would have to make sure that he sort of turns his back, runs as fast as he can deep because he doesn't want to get burned deep, and then you could cut in front and get wide open. But with Stokes being faster than basically everyone he's ever going to go up against, he doesn't have to go to his full sprint to make sure he can keep up with Cephas. I mean, a good way to think about this is just logically think about, to use an extreme example, if you're on a jog and then you have to stop on a dime, you can probably do that okay, right? You could probably just sort of stop, maybe you have to take a step or two, but you're going to be able to stop pretty easily. If you're full out sprinting and you're trying to stop, you're going to have to, you'd be quicker to just fall down and then get up and run the other way, right? It's a lot more difficult. So that's a good example of, why it's easier to defend these routes if you are faster. Because watch how he can stop on a dime and then get over and get a hand on that ball. The reality is with Eric Stokes, the reason why I was so high on him in the draft is because I've never seen an NFL player who is ridiculously fast, has great ball skills, and has failed in the NFL. Like, that just doesn't happen. When you have those two traits, even if you don't have the best footwork, even if there are some flaws, the good is going to outweigh the bad. Like, something like this is a good example of kind of what can potentially go wrong for Stokes. This is kind of why some people were down on him, is stuff like this. It's man coverage, and you have a receiver who's running an out route against man coverage, and watch what's going to happen. So, as you see, one thing that Stokes doesn't do the best job of is that kind of that lateral movement a little bit. You do see that there is a pocket where, if this was a well-timed throw, this could have been a completion. Now, Jared Goff literally doesn't have the ball in his hands right now. It was a fumble, so that's obviously not working out too well. But you could see Stokes getting burned a little bit on some of these anticipatory throws, guys making throws before they know their receiver is open. Also, Stokes does do a good job of kind of coming back, and that's the other aspect is you have to, you have less time to make those throws as well because Stokes is so quick. The reality is everyone in the NFL gets beat at something, right? It's very rare for an NFL corner to not get beat in some way, especially in man. Maybe in zone you can make it work, but in man, you're going to get out of position at some point. And at least for Stokes, he has the ability to come back. And there's also something like this, where what's going to happen on this play is it's going to be a cover 2 zone. You have a receiver who's going to run a route that's going to kind of be in Stokes' zone. And watch what he does. So look, first Stokes, again, bails and stays with him the entire way. So there's no separation. This is, once again, Cephas. And what's going to happen is, like, he's kind of just saying, hey, I'm bigger than you. Like, Eric Stokes isn't the biggest of guys. Try to box him out. This does kind of make some sense. But again, what's important to mention here is that Stokes has really good ball skills. He can find a way to get his hand on the football. And watch how he comes in, and while that certainly could have been a completion, he was able to knock it out. So, listen, could that have been a completion? Yeah, it could have. Like, if that's Travis Kelce, then okay, that's probably a completion right there. That's maybe the one way you can get him is with size. But my counter to that would be, sure, but that's how he's going to get beat. It's like with 8-yard, curl routes, which you're okay with giving up because you know that he's not going to give up anything over the top, really. I mean, like, even something like this, which is going to be a really good move to try to, burn him with a double move, which I think is kind of one of the ways you actually see guys like Stokes get out of position, even though they're fast. You kind of make a decision too quickly, you can outsmart them, get past them. That's how you can burn someone like Stokes deep, but you have to really be able to get him out of position. And on this play, it's going to actually be a pretty good double move on one-on-one coverage with, no safety help, only one safety, but he's over the middle of the field. So this is a true one-on-one go route with Eric Stokes. And I mean, look, you're going to see that it's a pretty good move, and Stokes does get beat a little bit right here, right? You think, okay, this is a throw you want to make. The issue with making a throw like this is unless the ball is hitting him right now, which you can't do because this is just right when you realize that it's going to be open, then Stokes can come back. Watch him just completely cover up that ground that was there, and he even, adjusts to the ball when it was sort of a back shoulder throw and knocks it away there. Again, going back to he sees the ball well. That's kind of what you can also do when you have the speed and you can get there. People like to say, 40 time, who really cares? How well do you play? Well, how fast you run directly impacts how well you play, especially in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, listen, great performance from Eric Stokes. He's definitely been, maybe great is too big of a word, but good performance from Eric Stokes. He's a rookie corner playing in his, really his first game. So to come in and play well, we've seen a lot of rookie corners play very well. Although Stokes is the only one we've seen come in and play a lot of man coverage and play that well, which is typically a lot more difficult. So I would probably, I'm a little bit more impressed about that, but I'm impressed with a lot of these guys. And so, I mean, it's apparently this was just a really good corner draft because we've seen already 5 really good rookie corners. So it's been interesting. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.